Someone asks if you want to split a bill. You say, I'm good. I've got this one. The table goes quiet for half a second. Nobody says anything, but you feel it. Because for 6 years, the answer was always, I can't right now. You have been saying I can't for so long that saying I can feels like lying. It is not lying. The money has been there for over a year. You just never updated the script. Rewind. You are 24. Broke is not a description. It is a personality. You lead with it. Someone invites you to dinner. You say, I'm broke. Can we do something cheaper? It is true. It gets you sympathy. It gets you understanding. It gets you out of things you cannot afford without having to explain the math. Broke becomes armor. Nobody questions armor. You are Zevin and Twintig. The broke is not entirely true anymore. You have a savings account. It is small, but it exists. Someone asks you to help cover a group gift. You say, I'm tight this month. You are not tight. You have $2,200 sitting in an account you have not touched in 4 months. But saying I'm tight is easier than explaining why you would rather keep the money than spend it on something you did not choose. Broke stops being true. The performance continues anyway. You are Negan and Twintig. You get a raise. A real one. Your friend asks how work is going. You say it's fine. Same old, barely scraping by. You are not scraping by. You just crossed 6 figures. You said barely scraping by out of habit, the same way you say bless you after a sneeze you did not hear. Reflex. No decision involved. You are einendertig. Your coworker complains about rent. You nod along. You do not mention that your mortgage payment is lower than what she pays to rent a one-bedroom. You do not mention you own anything at all. Owning something and admitting you own something feel like two different acts. You are only ready for the first one. The first crack happens at a dinner. Your friend Priya is stressed about a car repair, $100 she does not have. You say, let me help. Not I can't right now. Not that's rough. Let me help. You transfer the $100 before dessert arrives. Priya stares at her phone. She says, wait, you just had that? You say, yeah. She says, since when? You do not have an answer ready. Because you have spent years building an answer for being broke and 0 years building an answer for not being broke. The silence after her question is the first crack in 6 years of performance. Word moves faster than you expect. Your cousin calls 2 days later. He does not ask how you are. He asks if you can help with a dry $1,000 security deposit. He heard from Priya. You realize the crack did not stay contained to one dinner table. It travels. Everyone who knew the old broke version of you is now recalculating in real time. Some recalculate generously, some do not. Your aunt makes a comment at a family gathering. She says must have been broke for show then. Not a question. An accusation dressed as an observation. You say it wasn't for show, it just changed. She does not fully believe you. Some people cannot process growth. They can only process consistency. If you were broke before, broke is what you are supposed to remain. Anything else reads as deception even when it is just time passing. Your old roommate texts out of nowhere after 2 years of silence. Hey, how have you been? You know what this is before you open the second message. Sure enough, 3 texts later. Hey, this is awkward, but could you possibly lend me Tweed $1,000? You have not spoken in 2 years. The only thing that changed is that he heard you are not broke anymore. The friendship did not resume. The request did. You start noticing the pattern. People do not usually ask you how you are doing. They ask you what changed. Nobody asks about the version of you that worked overtime for 3 years straight. Nobody asks about the year you ate rice and eggs 4 nights a week to build the first $1,000. They ask about the number, not the years that produced it. The number is interesting, the years are inconvenient. Your mother sits you down. She asks directly, are you okay financially and are you hiding something from me? You realize she thought you might be in trouble. The broke performance protected her from worrying about you being wealthy enough to be a target, wealthy enough to attract the wrong people, wealthy enough to change. You tell her the truth. She is quiet for a long moment. Then she says, why didn't you tell me? You do not have a clean answer. Because telling her would have meant updating a story she had believed for years. And updating stories is harder than maintaining them, even when the old story stopped being true a long time ago. You test the new honesty carefully. At work, someone mentions salary negotiations. You used to deflect. This time, you mention your number, not boasting, just stating it. The room shifts slightly. Someone laughs a little too hard. Someone goes quiet. Someone asks a follow-up question with real curiosity, not judgment. You realize honesty gets sorted immediately. People show you exactly what they are made of the moment the performance stops. The ones who like the broke version of you because it made you unthreatening pull back. The ones who actually liked you stay exactly the same. That sorting is fast and it is final. You go on a date. The old script would have been, I don't really do fancy places, keep it low-key. This time you suggest the restaurant you actually want to go to. She notices. She asks, are you like doing well? You say, yeah, I am. She smiles differently than the last 3 dates you have been on. You cannot tell yet if that smile is about you or about the restaurant. You have learned to notice the difference now. Before you could not afford to notice. Now you cannot afford not to. Your best friend Daniel takes the whole thing the hardest. Not because he needs money, because your broke years were his broke years too. You built that identity together. Now you built out of it. He is still in it. Every time you order without checking the price, every time you pay without flinching, it is a small reminder of a gap that used to not exist between you. He does not ask for anything, he just gets quieter. You do not know how to fix quiet. Money can fix a lot of things. It cannot fix quiet. You start rehearsing the new version of yourself the way you once rehearsed the broke version. I'm doing well became a sentence you had to practice saying out loud in an empty room before you could say it to another person without flinching. 6 years of I can't right now do not disappear because the bank account changed. The muscle memory stays even after the muscle is no longer needed. You catch yourself half-performing poverty out of instinct at a store, hesitating over a purchase you can easily afford, the old reflex firing before the new reality catches up. You laugh a little at yourself in the checkout line. Nobody else notices. You notice. The requests keep coming, but you get better at answering them. Some yeses, mostly no's. The no's used to feel like confessions. Now they feel like boundaries. The difference took a while to learn. You realize something that nobody told you in advance. Pretending to be broke cost you more than being broke ever did. It cost you honest conversations with your mother. It cost you years of Daniel not knowing where he actually stood with you. It cost you the specific exhaustion of performing a version of yourself that stopped being true and kept running anyway, like an old app you forgot to close. Being broke was hard, but it was honest. Pretending to still be broke was expensive in a way no bank statement ever showed. You still help people. You still say, let me get this one. But you stopped explaining it. You stopped softening it. You stopped translating your life into a language designed to make other people comfortable at the cost of your own honesty. The friends who could not survive that honesty were never going to survive the growth either way. The ones who stayed learned something new about you. You learned something new about all of them. The number was never really the story. The story was who stayed once the performance ended. You are sitting at a dinner table again. Someone asks if you want to split the bill. You say, I've got this one. Nobody looks surprised anymore. That is how you know the new version finally became the real one.